Imagine if you could jump into a time machine and visit any point in your past or future. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? Well, before we dive into the deep end and start traversing the corridors of time, let's first familiarize ourselves with the concept of dimensions. We live in a three-dimensional world. We understand our surroundings in terms of length, width, and height. These three dimensions define our physical reality, but there's more to the story. There's a fourth player on this cosmic stage, a player we're all too familiar with: time. Time, the ever-flowing river, the ticking clock, the sand in the hourglass. Time is often referred to as the fourth dimension. It's an integral part of our lives, yet it's something we can't see, touch, or manipulate. We can't move backwards or forwards in time, we can only observe it passing. It's like we're all on a cosmic train ride, moving steadily along the track of time with no control over the speed or direction. Now let's take a step further. If we can perceive four dimensions, length, width, height, and time, could there be more dimensions that we're simply not aware of? Could there be a fifth dimension? Imagine a reality where we're not just passengers on the train of time. Imagine a reality in which we can step off the train, walk around the station, and hop on another train headed in a completely different direction. This is the idea of the fifth dimension. A dimension where time isn't a one-way street, but a vast landscape that we can explore at will. So let's embark on a journey through the cosmos, a journey through the dimensions we're familiar with and into the realms of the unknown. Let's explore the fascinating concept of the fifth dimension, where the linear flow of time is just an illusion, a mere artifact of our limited perception. Just as we move in three dimensions, what if we could also move freely in the fourth dimension, time? To understand the fifth dimension, we first need to understand time. When we think of time, we picture it as a river flowing from the past, through the present, and into the future. This is a linear, unidirectional concept of time, and it's how we experience life, isn't it? We remember yesterday, we live today, and we anticipate tomorrow. But what if this isn't the entire truth? What if time isn't as straightforward as it seems? Let's take a moment to ponder. Think about a movie. When you're watching it, it unfolds scene by scene, in a linear fashion. But the entire movie is already there, on the disc or the streaming platform from beginning to end. You're just observing it one frame at a time. Now imagine that our universe is a grand movie and we're merely observers living it frame by frame, moment by moment. In this grand scheme, time doesn't flow, instead it simply exists all at once. This concept, known as block universe or eternalism, suggests that the past, present, and future all coexist, and time is merely an illusion created by our consciousness. But what does this mean for us and our understanding of the universe? If time is an illusion, it casts a new light on our perception of reality. It suggests that there might be more to the universe than the three spatial dimensions and the dimension of time that we're familiar with. And here's where things get really interesting. If time doesn't flow but simply exists, it implies that the future is as real as the past and the present. It's just that we're not there yet, or rather we're not observing it yet. So what if we could manipulate time just as we manipulate the three spatial dimensions? Could we travel to the future or revisit the past? Could we slide through different realities like changing channels on a TV? These questions form the basis of our exploration into the fifth dimension. What if we could manipulate time just as we manipulate the three spatial dimensions? Einstein's theory of relativity gave us a new perspective on time. This groundbreaking concept, introduced in the early 20th century, redefined our understanding of the universe and its fundamental principles. But how exactly does it describe time, and how can it be affected by speed and gravity? To put it simply, the theory of relativity consists of two parts: special relativity and general relativity. Special relativity posits that the laws of physics are the same for all observers in uniform motion relative to one another, and it introduced the speed of light as a constant, irrespective of the observer's speed or direction. Now, here's where time comes into play. According to special relativity, time can dilate or stretch when an object moves close to the speed of light. This means that if you were to travel at such speeds, time would seemingly slow down for you compared to someone standing still. This is what we call time dilation. The second part, general relativity, broadens this concept further by incorporating gravity into the equation. It proposes that massive objects cause a distortion in space-time, which we perceive as gravity. Picture space-time as a trampoline, and a heavy object placed on it as a planet. The weight of the object would cause the trampoline to dip, creating a curve. Now, if a smaller object were to move along this curve, it would be attracted towards the heavier object, just like gravity pulls us towards Earth. But this curve also affects time, causing it to slow down near massive objects. This is known as gravitational time dilation. So what does this all mean? Well, according to the theory of relativity, time isn't a constant, linear progression as we often perceive it. It's flexible, bendable, and can be affected by both speed and gravity. So if time can be affected by speed and gravity, can we manipulate it? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this fascinating topic in our next segment. Now that we have a grasp on time, let's explore the concept of the fifth dimension. Imagine a place where every possible version of reality exists simultaneously. That, in a nutshell, is the fifth dimension. It's a bit of a mind-bender, isn't it? Just as we can move forward and backward, left and right, up and down in our three-dimensional world, the fourth dimension, time, allows us to move forward into the future and theoretically backward into the past. Now let's push our understanding a bit further. The fifth dimension comes into play when we consider the idea of multiple timelines or parallel universes. This dimension encompasses all the possible timelines that could have ever been experienced, are being experienced, or will ever be experienced. Picture this. Every decision you make, every action you take, creates a new timeline. Every time you chose vanilla over chocolate, stayed in instead of going out, took the bus instead of the train, you created a new timeline. And in the fifth dimension, all these timelines exist concurrently. It's the dimension of infinite possibilities where every possible version of the universe exists. Think about that for a moment. Every choice you didn't make, every road you didn't take, exists in the fifth dimension. In this dimension, you could be a baker, a scientist, a world leader, or a rock star. This isn't just theoretical physics' wild imagination. It's grounded in string theory, which posits that there are at least 10 dimensions of space. And here's the kicker. If we could access the fifth dimension, we could travel between these different realities, experiencing different versions of our universe. It's like having an infinite number of doors in front of you, each leading to a different reality. But before you get too excited, remember that this is all theoretical. We don't yet have the technology or understanding to access this dimension, but who knows what the future might hold. In the fifth dimension, every possible version of you exists. A theory that supports the existence of the fifth dimension is the multiverse theory. A concept that has sparked the imaginations of scientists and sci-fi enthusiasts alike. The multiverse theory suggests that our universe isn't the only one out there. Instead, it proposes a cosmos teeming with an infinite number of universes, each one unique and independent from the others. Imagine a vast cosmic quilt, with each patch representing a different universe. These patches or universes don't interact with each other, but they exist side by side, each one housing its own separate reality. In some universes, the laws of physics might be entirely different from ours. In others, history may have unfolded in completely different ways. This is where the idea of the fifth dimension comes into play. If we think of our universe as a three-dimensional object, then the multiverse theory suggests that there is a fourth spatial dimension, a direction in which we can move that leads us from one universe to another. This fourth spatial dimension is what we often refer to as the fifth dimension, with time being the fourth. But where does this leave us? Well, if the multiverse theory is true, then the fifth dimension isn't just a possibility, but a reality. It's a dimension that we can't perceive or interact with, but it's there, nonetheless. It's an integral part of the cosmic fabric that makes up our reality. In essence, the multiverse theory paints a picture of a cosmos that's infinitely more complex and fascinating than we ever thought possible. It's a theory that challenges our understanding of reality and forces us to question our place in the cosmos. It's a theory that, in many ways, is as beautiful as it is mind-boggling, and it's a theory that brings us one step closer to unlocking the secrets of the fifth dimension. A dimension that could potentially hold the answers to some of the most profound questions in science. If the multiverse theory holds, then the fifth dimension isn't just possible, it's inevitable. But how does all this tie into the illusion of time? Let's dive right in. In our everyday lives, we perceive time as a constant, linear progression. Seconds turn into minutes, minutes into hours, and so forth. It's a one-way street with no U-turns. But what if I told you this isn't the only way to understand time? The concept of the fifth dimension challenges our traditional understanding of time, suggesting that it might not be as linear as we think. Instead, it could be just another dimension that we can navigate, much like how we move in three-dimensional space. Imagine this. You're in a boat, floating down a river. The river represents the timeline of our universe, and your boat represents you moving through time. The current carries you forward from one moment to the next in a predictable, linear fashion. Now, picture the river branching off into countless other rivers, each representing a different timeline. If you could steer your boat, you could navigate these different timelines. That's the idea behind the fifth dimension. It's not just about moving forward and backward through time, but side to side, exploring different possibilities and outcomes. This concept might sound like pure science fiction, but it's not. It's grounded in the theories of quantum mechanics and string theory, which suggest there could be more dimensions than the three spatial ones we're familiar with. This idea that time might be an illusion, a construct of our minds, is both fascinating and mind-boggling. It shatters our conventional understanding of the universe and opens up a world of possibilities. If time isn't linear, then the past, present, and future might all exist simultaneously, waiting for us to navigate and explore them. And here's the kicker. If we could navigate the fifth dimension, we could potentially visit any point in time. That's right, any point. From the birth of the universe to its eventual end, and everything in between. Now, isn't that a thought to ponder as we move into the new year? If we could navigate the fifth dimension, we could potentially visit any point in time. This brings us to the possibility of time travel. Imagine being able to skip through the hours, days, years, like flipping pages in a book. Time travel is a concept that has fascinated humanity for centuries, from H.G. Wells' The Time Machine to modern-day science fiction blockbusters. But could it actually be possible? If we could navigate the fifth dimension, we would theoretically have control over our position in time, just as we can control our position in the three spatial dimensions we're familiar with. This would mean that time travel, in some form, could indeed be within our grasp. However, it's not quite as simple as hopping into a souped-up DeLorean and zipping back to the past or forward to the future. Time travel, should it be possible, would come with a host of paradoxes and challenges. Consider the grandfather paradox, a classic thought experiment. If you traveled back in time and prevented your grandparents from meeting, you would never have been born. But if you were never born, how could you have traveled back in time to begin with? Then there's the issue of causality, the principle that cause precedes effect. If we can move freely in time, what happens to this principle? Could you, for instance, eat an apple before it's picked from the tree? And let's not forget about the potential physical challenges. To travel through time, we'd need to harness incredible amounts of energy, potentially more than our current technology or even our planet could provide. Nevertheless, these paradoxes and challenges don't necessarily mean time travel is impossible. They simply highlight that our understanding of time, and indeed the universe itself, is incomplete. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the fifth dimension, who knows what we might discover? While time travel remains a tantalizing possibility, it also presents a host of paradoxes and challenges. The concept of the fifth dimension and the illusion of time is mind-bending. So, let's take a moment to recap what we've covered so far. We started with an introduction to the fifth dimension, a concept that extends beyond our familiar three-dimensional world and the fourth dimension of time. We learned that the fifth dimension, though difficult to visualize, is a theoretical realm where every possible version of our history and future exists simultaneously. Next, we delved into the idea of time as an illusion. We discovered that time, as we perceive it, is not as straightforward as it seems. It's not a constant ticking away uniformly for everyone, everywhere. Instead, it's a relative concept influenced by factors like gravity and speed. This led us to the theory of relativity, the groundbreaking work of Albert Einstein. We learned how this theory revolutionized our understanding of time, showing us that time and space are intertwined in a four-dimensional fabric known as space-time. From here, we ventured into the territory of the multiverse theory, a proposition that our universe is not alone, but one of many in an infinite multiverse. In this vast multiverse, the fifth dimension plays a key role, housing every conceivable outcome of every event in every universe. We then return to the illusion of time, exploring how our perception of time can be influenced by our consciousness and physical experiences. We pondered the question, if time is an illusion, does that mean our past, present, and future all exist at once? This question naturally led us to the possibility of time travel. We delved into the theoretical physics behind this concept, considering the implications of wormholes and the bending of space-time. So here we are, standing on the precipice of understanding, peering into the abyss of the fifth dimension and the illusion of time. As we continue to unlock the secrets of the universe, who knows what we might discover about the fifth dimension and the true nature of time.